What was crazy is a lot of people don't realize how much more they give their job than they give themselves. And I heard something great that it was like, if you work hard on your job, you can make a good living. But if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. The great Jim Rohn said that.
My name is Ashanti, and welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast, where men get real. Men of all ages and backgrounds come to this space to talk about these masks we wear. The front of the mask are the things that we gladly let the world see about ourselves, and the back of the mask are things that we don't usually let people see. Maybe imagine yourself, what masks are you wearing right now? What masks are you regularly letting people see about you? And what are the things that you wish you could talk more about? In today's conversation, we're going to be talking to Antwone Diirt Da Dreamsaver Johnson. And Dirt is spelled Diirt. I am so excited that you get to be a part of this conversation and hear this conversation. It goes deep fast, and it's opportunity for two brothers to come together, who actually, my office is right down the street from where he lives, and I didn't even know he was in the same city as I was in. Our podcast is virtual, so we meet men from all over the world, and maybe that's not even a question on our questionnaire, like where do you live? Because it hasn't been really that important where they live. It's heart-to-heart conversations. And so I'm excited for you to hear this conversation. And one thing Antwone says in this conversation, amongst many things that I want to just point out, is he talks about the idea of having so much confidence in others that you scare them. We talked about the challenge of leadership. He's running his own organization. He's an entrepreneur. And we talked about how some of those challenges are hard to explain to others on the outside. But as a mentor for 20 years in the Ever Forward Club, and even more in my own life, imagine when you believe more in people than they may believe in themselves. It could seem like odd and strange that somebody is like caring about you more than you may seem to care about yourself, or believing in you more than maybe your family members seem to care about you. And in this conversation, we just talk about those topics. I should name that I'm here in DuPont Square. DuPont Circle. DuPont Circle? I'm here in DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C., here for a big convening with Ecomundo and Futures Without Violence. I'm super excited about this conversation tomorrow, and I'm here today just making opportunity for conversation. This podcast continues to go and continues to grow and continue to talk to voices and men from all over the world, and we're excited for you to be a part of it with us. I'm hoping that as we continue to move towards our anniversary this year, this summer, we have our 3rd year anniversary. So let me just so those of you that are watching me, this is our 3rd year anniversary coming up this year. So super excited about that. We don't have a 3rd year anniversary planned yet, but we will. We're going to do something amazing for the 3rd year. And more conversations to come. So stay tuned, and we want you to be a part of it. If you're a listener, if you have been a guest on the show, we will be reaching out to you to do something amazing for the 3rd year. So take care. Enjoy this conversation with Antwone Johnson. And just know that this is only the first conversation of many. I think there's lots of things that he's doing right here in the Bay Area where we are, that we're excited that we will be able to connect with him again. So thank you for being a part of the Taking Off the Mask podcast. If you have not yet made a mask, you can do that anonymously at millionmask.org. And we look forward to you being a part of the journey with us. As we march towards 100,000 masks, which we're getting very close to, we want you to be a part of this movement with us as we march our way towards 1 million. Take good care, be well, and enjoy this conversation with Antwone Diirt Da Dreamsaver Johnson. And we'll see you soon, folks. Bye now. Cheers. Welcome, Brother Antwone.
Thank you, Brother Ashanti, for having me, man. Let's go.
Well, I am so glad to have you, Brother Antwone, with us. Antwone Johnson, listen, I would like you to introduce yourself to the audience. Let them know who you are, what information you want them to know about you before we jump into these masks.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Antwone Diirt Da Dreamsaver Johnson. I am a loving spirit of the Creator. I've grown to want to just do everything to serve in that magnitude and to show who the Creator is through me and my actions and my triumphs and overcoming my shortcomings, admitting my faults. I live in Hayward, California. I'm a married man, a father of four, um, founder of Dreamsavers LLC. I am the first client, first. I'm the first client. I'm the first employee. I'm the first everything of that company. And that company birthed the brand, Growing with Dirt. My nickname is Dirt. And I started the brand Growing with Dirt because I was at a transition point in my life to where I asked myself some difficult questions and got some difficult answers. And it told me that I'm not who I was pretending to be, but I have the potential to become whoever I want to be. But in order to do that, I had to evolve. I had to grow. So then I was forced with a decision. Do you want to stay the same, or do you want to become this person that you really desire to be, get the lifestyle that you really desire? And the answer was plan B. Let's get it. Let's stop playing. Let's stop going in circles. You know, you got to elevate. You got to evolve. Then that also told me that if the people around me didn't grow, then we was gonna grow apart. So since my mind made up that I'm going with or without you. Growing with Dirt is a cry, like please come grow with me, or be perfectly fine with us growing apart, because I'm not stopping for nobody.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, let me first say when I reached out when we first connected, I didn't know that you were my office is in Hayward. So I don't know how I didn't know that part. So like, beautiful first of all, and I'm look we're going to see each other face to face sooner than
Oh
later.
yeah, it's definitely gonna
Yeah.
be a part two. I already
Yeah.
feel it in person, live and direct. Look how the spirit works. See how the spirit works.
Oh man, fantastic! Oh, see, I didn't even. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing to find in this moment. So, and thank you for sharing, brother. I'm excited to hear. I think there was something you just said that just stood out to me. You said, I'm writing notes already. I realized I'm not who I was pretending to be, and I think that is, I think what I really began to learn in the Ever Forward with those young men that we first started 20 years ago. It was like, I see so much more in you. I don't know. I see what you're doing on the outside. I don't really know all the reasons why, but there's so much more to you. You're smarter than you letting me see. I see it in you, and you can't pretend to somebody who's also smart, right? Like I see you, and I think what that was finding that, and so I'm glad that you got to that place, and I'm looking forward to learning about the journey of getting to that place. I imagine it's one sentence you say, but I imagine there's a whole lot more sentences that go along with it. So, looking forward to jumping into these masks.
Let's do it. Let's
Well,
do
you
it.
get to decide as the guest who goes first. So either you go first or you want me to go first.
I'm gonna allow you to go so I can understand and see how you deliver it, and
Okay.
kind of not imitate but mimic just a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Well, I trust that uh it's good. It's always new and different. And here's the mask that I just drew right now, and the words that came to me in this moment. So here's the image that I drew, and the words that came out were serious, passionate, and driven. Serious, passionate, and driven. And I think one of the ones that is they're really kind of all coming together right now in terms of where I'm at. But I think the ones that I'm want to kind of talk about is driven, and I think that um, I have had in this journey of ever forward, like I push myself really hard, and I sometimes have to be careful because I am so driven to make this thing a success, which is connected to something on the back that I'm like, I'm driven to make this win. I'm gonna push as hard as I can. And sometimes I scare people because I am, especially if they jump on the bus that we're on, then I'm driving. You know what I'm saying? And the bus is going east and it's going fast. You know what I mean? And sometimes people jump on half, 1 foot on, and I think they get drugged. they get drugged a lot. They're like, "Whoa, what's happening?" Right? They reach one arm in, and then they get their arm taken off, and they're like, "What just happened?" I'm so sorry. The bus is not stopping. The bus, we can't stop where we're heading. So if you're jumping on, you got to move quick. And sometimes you jump halfway in, you feel like you're getting dismembered necessarily, maybe emotionally, not physically. I know we're not dismembering
No, I
anybody,
get you.
but that context of like, sometimes I think like it's sometimes too much for people, and I think they don't understand that the mission here is not just to make masks for the sake of making masks. Like we're talking about lives here. So anytime I'm doing pieces of this project, I'm constantly trying to tell people as much as I can tell them in the moment, and sometimes knowing that I can't tell them enough to fill in all the gaps and all the. I just need you to come into the moment, and I think sometimes that feels. I feel myself like I'm moving too fast, and sometimes I have to slow down in terms of like because I have to explain it, and I have to be not frustrated in the explaining it. And I think what I've learned over the years is that sometimes when I'm having to explain too many details, I get more for. I'm like you don't understand why we're doing this work. Like I thought that you would have known why we're doing this work in the beginning, and now I'm trying to explain to you why it's important that we do X, Y, Z, and some of the things I do by habit, I don't even know I'm doing. So when I'm serious and passionate and driven, like I'm moving, right? And I think I have to sometimes I see people's face, I'm like, oh, did I just hurt somebody's feelings? Oh, did I just somebody feel disrespected? Because that's never my intent. My intent is never to hurt, to harm. But I do know that if your arm gets pulled off, like it's going to cause some discomfort. You know what I'm saying? If you stepped half foot on the boat while we're moving, like you may hit some water. We may get wet. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to find ways of like, okay. And I think that's where, because I'm still wearing too many hats, which is going to change very soon, I realize that because I'm trying to like explain and give context and give vision and direct the actions, I sometimes am trying to be all these things where I think maybe usually people get a nice onboarding process where they talk to the person in HR over here and then they talk to their team lead over here. And sorry, that's a one-stop shop. You know what I'm saying? I'm all of those. So I'm giving it to you all, a fire hose, like you can. I'm hitting you with all of it all at once. And hopefully you catch on, right? And I think I'm saying, okay, it's because I'm trying to like carry all these loads and that's part of the journey. So anyway, that's the front. That was a lot. That was a hand.
Man, nah, I love it because you said this is going to be an awesome conversation, bro. Because you just light bulbs are going off. Exactly what you said and how you said it. I love the analogy, by the way, as well. It's like jumping on the bus. But I want to touch on one thing that you said, man. It's like having to explain different things to people from different viewpoints. So, me, where I am in my growth journey, sometimes my confidence in other people scares them away because I understand that like is levels to it. And there's so many of our people, just people in general, with so much self-doubt, so much non-belief within themselves that when I speak so positive on them and when I just tell them what they're destined for, as soon as they find out who they really are, it kind of scares them because they're not along that journey yet. So I always have to remind myself about people's level of intellect of themselves. Like I have to take that into consideration, and I can't be mad that their belief in themselves is not what it will be one day. I have to have that patience to guide them along to, like, if I'm lucky enough to be a part of their life, to help them continue to believe and grow. And as they grow, just like the creator gave me, he didn't give me the whole plate at once. He only gives me enough to see if I'm going to work to bring what I see into existence. Like the little bit I've shown you, are you going to do the work that you can to bring this into existence? And then once I start on that process and really get down and dirty and gritty with it, that vision expands. And it was like, oh, I didn't even see this. Oh, but if you would have showed me this, maybe my faith or my understanding wasn't big enough to comprehend it. So I wouldn't even have got started because I would have got overwhelmed. And another thing you said, bro, about the limbs getting ripped off. I've been in that situation so many times, but since we're metaphorically speaking in this analogy, what has happened is when I lost that arm, it grew back stronger. When I lost that leg, it grew back stronger. Because since we're speaking metaphorically, these things can grow back once you lose them if you're willing to understand where you're at. Because you're going through things maybe at an expeditious rate, but if you can comprehend, you just learned what it may have took somebody else 5 to 10 years to learn. You just experience what it takes somebody 5 or 10 years to experience. So now you're getting that arm, that leg, that limb, whatever you may have lost back with the understanding that like, okay, I'm finna be punching 5 to 10 times harder. I'm finna be able to run 5 to 10 times faster than somebody who would have had to go through that experience over a longer period of time. So, man, you hit the nail on the head, bro. So I'm hoping that in this journey, it has helped you find the people who you seen grow and develop. Like, damn, I just threw a whole anvil at you. And you still here? Oh, so now I know you can handle it. So I'm not going to continue to do that to you, but I know that you got it. I don't really got to worry about you too much. And at this point, if you got hit by a big anvil and you're still on the bus, you're going to be wondering why more anvils aren't coming. So you're going to be out there looking and challenging yourself at this point because of what you just overcame. So, man, hopefully it's working out like that for you, bro. So you can build you a squad.
Well, that's where we are right now in that building phase. So, yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. And now it's going to be your turn now to go front. So if you can fold the mask so we only see the front. Okay, good. You got it there. Okay, beautiful, beautiful.
So I'm not the best artist, but I was trying my best to draw the Black Panther mask.
All right.
And I have gratitude, gratefulness / gratitude, work ethic, and mannerism. So those are the three things that first came to my mind that I have no problems allowing people to just see all of. Because I'm very grateful to not only breathe, I wake up every day and I'm giving thanks as soon as I wake up, but I'm grateful for everything at this point in my life. Like I've learned to love the bad or love the challenges just as much as I love when it's not challenging. It was more so I love the pleasure side of things, pleasure. But I understand now that the path that I'm on, my growth comes in the darkest moments. My growth comes when I'm challenged. My growth comes when I'm uncomfortable. My growth comes in those areas, not when it's pleasurable. So I've learned to be grateful and have gratitude for all of it, because now that I'm not necessarily searching for it, but embracing and going towards the challenges, because I understand that's where I grow and that's how I get better. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to need to get to where I desire to go and further. It helped me develop a work ethic. So I've always was a great worker when it came to being an employee. And what was crazy is a lot of people don't realize how much more they give their job than they give themselves. And I heard something great that it was like, if you work hard on your job, you can make a good living. But if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. The great Jim Rohn said that. So for me, it's like, wow, you working, because I used to work 80 to 100 hours a week when I worked in my last employment place. So I was like, you was working super long, super hard, then come home and tired for your wife, for your kids, for yourself, for all of this. So now that you're pouring into you and self-developing and increasing your skills, because another thing I learned that helped me on my journey is money chases value. And whatever you chasing is running from you. So it helped me understand that if money chase value, there's already a cap on how much time there is in a day. Actually, the days are getting shorter. So if you're trading time for money, you're already at a deficit. But if you're trading value for money, there's no limit on the amount of value that you can bring. So that's up to you to determine what your worth is. So once I really adapted that concept, it gave me a different work ethic towards working towards myself. And my manners, that comes along is because I understand now that we're all connected. We all have a purpose within each other, that the better I treat you as a human being, the more you can see that in yourself. Because we all are connected in a way that And it didn't really hit home to me until maybe like 10, 15 years. My kindergarten teacher used to tell me all the time, to the world, you are just one person, but to one person, you might be the world. So you never know how that one interaction with somebody, that one moment that you have with that one person can really change the whole trajectory of their life. If you have that value or if you have that spirit about you, it can really change the trajectory of their day. It can really switch their thought if it was in a down and depressed state based upon your mannerisms and how you handle them and how you carry yourself. And the only God that anybody ever gonna see on this planet, I believe, at this time, is the God in you. Is the God in me. So if I'm not reflecting that and showing that on a consistent basis, I'm missing the opportunity to help somebody find out who they really are.
Man. Oh, man. You're dropping nuggets, brother. You're dropping nuggets. Okay. So, first of all, thank you for the quote about making a life and making a fortune. That's I think that's so important. I think definitely today, as we experience young people who are in their own journey of growth and transformation. I have one young man just finished high school last week, and now he's getting ready to go out into the world. And I think there's some fear coming up. There's some fear coming up. But like, I mean, people keep telling him, "Hey, you're an adult now," and and I don't think that some of it in that readiness is fully ready. Right, in the 17 years of life, and probably the moments he said, "I can't wait till I can make my own decisions," and now the decisions are here. You've crossed the stage. You move the tassel from left to right or right to left, whichever one, and now all the decisions are yours. And I think sometimes that can get scary for some, especially if you don't have a next plan, especially if you don't have like it lined up. You didn't follow the traditional plan of like, I'm going to college, I'm going to do this. And now you're like, oh, wait a minute. What's next? And as a mentor, trying not to create more fear, as a mentor, trying to help young people say, you can get through this too. It's going to be a journey. I got you. You're okay. That's part of it.
You made me think of this. This is a book I wrote.
Okay.
And it's titled 4 Years to Life.
Yes.
So our people, when they hear somebody got something to life, it's always a jail sentence. It's always having to do some time. So I did that with a play on words, titled my book 4 Years to Life, because and in 4 years, real life about to hit you. So either your life can be freedom or it can be a jail sentence. What are you going to do? Like, what actions are you going to take to make it whatever you want it to be? Because it's going to be one or the other one. Either you're going to have the knowledge and the understanding to create a life of freedom, or you're going to be shackled by the way of the world. And the way of the world, for most people, the majority of people who don't crack that code, is working in a job that they pretend that they gotta like because they're grateful to have a job, because you need the job to pay the money and pay the bills. So you don't like your job, but you gotta like your job, because if you don't like your job, then your job will be taken from you. Then you're gonna have a whole lot of stuff you don't like. So it's just one of those things, man, to where when you were talking about the young man, like I always say, ready versus prepared. Because of course I'm ready to be a millionaire. Of course I'm ready to be financially free. Of course I'm ready for this and ready for that and ready for this. But am I prepared for it? Because if you're not prepared for what you say you're ready for, it's going to be stressful, and you're going to end up in a worse position than you were before you got it.
Yeah. And imagine when you're talking to a teenager and helping them to see that, like, that is so critical to help them. What I told young people in my work was like, listen, you're only going to be young for a couple more years, but you're going to be old for a lot of years. And the question is, are you preparing yourself, like that said, for the life? Are you preparing yourself for the other side of it, where I'm strengthening myself to get ready for that? Or am I just like, and some young man says to me, oh, I'm just, I'm going to get a job and just figure it out. I'm like, oh, man. In my mind, I'm like, okay, what sentence do I need to add to this value to hopefully add value to this person to see? Like, if I'm just going to wait for it to just come, it's like a garden that you don't take care of weeding. Like, some weeds can help nurture that garden, but some weeds can take over the plants, the harvest. And so how do you help them and find the right things where I'm not going to be nagging at you or even judging, but I'm here to hold space so that you can say, maybe that'll work. You know, can you name a couple of people who've followed that path? And just like let it ride, and there's no strategy, no plan, no desire. And I think that when I think about the back, and I'm going to jump into the back of mine. When I think about that, it's where a lot of my back of the mask comes from. It's like really trying to wanting young people, definitely our young men in our community, to find a space to be able to talk about when they're not sure and when they're being arrogantly sure. Like they're sure, but it's rooted in a bunch of arrogance. It's not rooted in any reality or not even any thoughts. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna just get a job and just life is gonna be just fine. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, brother. I'm hoping the best for you. I'm wishing you the best. I'm not wishing anything, but I need you to like maybe give it a little bit more thought. Maybe give it a little bit more intentional thought. And so that's the back. If I think about the back of my mask, I wrote worry, fear of failure, and grief. And the worry comes from the work in the bigger picture of like the work that we do with young people all over, and some of those young men who I'm really thinking about a lot and really trying to support. But there's lots of worries to be worried about. But I think I try and channel them really well. Fear of failure, my personal failure, and that's why the driven is so, and the passionate and serious is so sometimes intense, because I have a big, huge fear of failure. And I think because I hold myself to sometimes unrealistic standards, unrealistic expectations, it's a big fear of like something that's not even controllable by my hands. Like I'm clear that my steps are ordered and wasn't my plan. This wasn't my plan. You know what I'm saying? What I'm doing today wasn't how I chose it. I'm clear that a gift was put out there in front of me to say a calling. I'd say a calling and a gift, right? And you can ignore the gifts, or you can say this was planted, a seed was planted in your mind for this thing you want to bring to the world. Are you going to bring it to the world, or are you going to keep ignoring it? And like you said earlier, right? Can I give you this and trust you with this thing that I'm planting in you, and trust you to handle it? Because I can't give you all of it at once. I think even if this is 20 years in this journey, sometimes I feel like we should be further along, but I'm clear that I've been just getting pieces at a time of the journey, right? And I think, and when I get in, as long as I'm not comparing myself to anyone else, I'm fine. But when I get in comparing mode, I'm like, how in the heck this organization just show up here out of the middle of nowhere, and they are, and I'm like comparing. I'm like, that's Shanti. You don't get to compare somebody else's story. You don't know what's been behind the scenes. I only know what I've been working hard to do, how hard it's been. And I'll say grief for the last thing is, really I've been preparing for this big event this past weekend, and I've been like suspending some grief in my soul, and it needs to get dealt with. It needs to give it some time. I mean, obviously it's not like you can just put, okay, I'm gonna give myself an hour right here to grieve in my calendar, and then it happens, right? It's like, even when I was making time, I'm gonna make some time right now to grieve. I started watching movies. Nothing comes. It doesn't come. And when I'm not wanting it, when I'm not expecting it, when don't have time for it, is when it shows up. It's like, oh, I want you to feel this right now in the middle of the grocery store because you saw that pack of cookies that your godson loved, and you always told him no, and now he's not here anymore, and now, oh, it's making me think of it, right? And I'm like, what's going on? I'm in the middle of the grocery store. I ain't got time to be crying in the middle of the grocery store. Like, I was at home when making time for it. And then, so all those things of grief that are now, it's like, okay, Shanti, you better make time for this. You better make time for this. And you don't get to choose when that time is. So that's what's happening on the back of the mask right now.
Bro, you about to see something in a second. All right. So I just one of the things like that I used to, when I got to a certain point in my life, and so I grew up in Oakland, California. So once I was like in my teenage years, my mom used to send me to Mississippi. Let me give you a little bit of backstory. My mom used to send me to Mississippi every summer, and I used to spend all my summers in Mississippi. And our family is very close back there. My mom's side of the family is very close. So I spent all my summers in Mississippi. So I know all of my aunties, my uncles, my great aunties, my great uncles. Long story short, when I used to go to Mississippi, I used to see a lot of my family and more importantly, a lot of elders in my family. So when I would come out here, my dad's parents lived out here. My grandfather from my dad passed away when I was really young. My mom's father, however, we called him Papa. He lived to be well over 100. I didn't even realize how old he was doing the stuff he was doing until I got old enough to be like, wait a minute, he how old? So anyway, I used to tell my younger friends back here in the Bay throughout our teenage years, the goal is to be old longer than you young. Because I started to understand what was happening in our environment, the age groups that it was happening in, this, that, and this. So I've always told myself that, and I've always spread that, but I didn't know how to give substance to it when I was younger. And I just knew like you want to be here to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, so the goal is to be old longer than you're young. I still say it, and I just embrace some of the things I said as a young man, almost like mantras, sort of say that now we're playing out into my life.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you didn't have the understanding, but now it's like, as you grow, you get different pieces of the puzzle, like you were saying. But I was just like, I don't know if you can see this, but look what mines are.
Okay.
Like I didn't see yours. You didn't see mine. Like being a perfectionism, being a perfectionist, survivor's guilt / remorse, my grieving stages and self-discovery. Like, so for me, I am really hard on myself because I know what I've been with me my whole life. Like I've never not done anything I put my mind to. I've never not accomplished anything that I did everything I was supposed to do and kept my mind on it and kept the focus. Now, some things I didn't do as well as I could have because I half-assed it. So now as I'm growing and I understand, it's like I'm really hard on myself because it's like you have the capabilities to do whatever it is that you're thinking about. Are you doing the work? What are you not doing? What are you missing? So then I have that survivors, and that goes in also into my survivor's guilt / remorse because I've lost siblings. My best friends was my two brothers. I have three brothers, but my closest ones was my older brother, Anthony, and my younger brother, Harold. Harold was murdered. Anthony passed away. And I lost a sister as well, on top of other family members. But actually, I lost two sisters. So I have that survivor's guilt remorse because the things that are coming into my understanding of how to obtain is things we always wanted, things we always talked about. But we didn't have the understanding or the knowledge of how to get those things because school don't teach you what you really need to know to be independent and free, because that's not the purpose and the goal of our current school system.
Yeah.
So you have to go out there, have the desire to go out there and get this knowledge that you're going to need to build your freedom, to build your heaven. So now that these things are being unfolded unto me and I'm learning what to search and I'm learning what to do and I'm learning what to read and I'm learning who to make the alliances to make and how to make them, it's like you look around and the people that you envisioned on being here with you when this happened, they're not here. So there are different little things that happen throughout your day. It can be the most happiest time that somebody would think you should have, but when that grief hits you and you just start crying and you just need a moment to go sit to the side when you're sad because the people that are supposed to be here with you in this moment ain't here. Yeah. The person who in that moment with you may not realize unless they understand.
Yeah.
So it's hard to have the grieving moments when they hit sometimes because it's the setting that made it hit.
Yeah.
And with us taking off the mask, I'm learning to just be who I am. Like, of course, you have to placate to certain temperatures and placate to certain atmospheres. But in the essence of it, I'm learning how, no, this is Antwone Diirt Da Dreamsaver Johnson. Yes, I may tailor it just a bit for this place, but I'm never not being him anymore. I'm never not being genuine to who I am. So if I do have that moment to where the grief hits, I will excuse myself. And if it's with somebody who understands me and knows the journey that I've been on, the things that I've overcame, I'd be like, we'll talk about it in a minute. Just give me a minute. Like, but I don't hold it in anymore. I used to wear that mask, and that mask was heavy. The mask gets heavy. And throughout my life, I've worn the mask. And that led to me becoming an alcoholic. That led to me abusing drugs. That led to me just not even knowing me. So this self-discovery part is we have been indoctrinated and forced to wear so, especially as I can only speak about being a black man, to wear so many different masks that we don't even know who we are. So we go through our whole life not understanding who we are, who created us and why, what's inside of us. What are you supposed to tap into? What are you supposed to get better at? Because we have to wear all these different masks that are everybody else's persona or everybody else's ideology or everybody else's way of thinking. We never have that time to really come into our own because like we were just saying, the most active time in a young man's life is throughout that high school. And once he leaves high school to where he actually starts becoming into his manhood. But by that time, we have so many other burdens and responsibilities and traumas and things that we've inherited, not necessarily that we created for ourselves. Because we inherit our people's, in this country, we inherit the trauma of the things that our people have been through because it's force fed to us. It's not fed to us from a place of honoring and joy. It's forced to us as a place of oppression and depression. So as we're learning about our history, it creates the oppression. I mean, it creates the depression because you see your people throughout oppression. So then it forces you also to think lowly of yourself because you haven't seen the greatness that your people bring to this world. So that's another thing that I do. I partner with a nonprofit. So we're a community building nonprofit disguised as an after school program. So we work with the families. We don't just work with the scholars. We work with the families. We build community. We have events to where we get all of our sites together to network and get with each other, get to learn each other because we teach from African culture and African history. We speak from a place of joy and healing. Like, because if our history is taught the wrong way, it'll create that self-doubt. It'll create that self-worry. It'll create that, oh, I got to be better than everybody else no, you just got to be yourself. And if that makes you desire to want to work harder and to do things, and the results of that is you may be at a different scale of things than other people, then that's your path. Like your path was written for you. Like you said, your steps have been ordered for you. But if you're not living to your truth, you will never fall into the order of those steps. You will always be chasing somebody else's footprint, somebody else's footsteps. And your life wasn't designed to be like that. Your life wasn't created to be somebody else's. So yes, you're going to bump your head many a times because you're wearing somebody else's mask.
Without a doubt. And I think that is beautifully said. You're going to keep bumping into the walls. I think is what I tell young people in this work. When we see young people, I was talking to someone earlier, and this mask popped out because I was looking. Ooh, this to both of them. I mean, this is the one that stood out. When I pull this one out today, I was looking for this concept. Let me see if I can get it to be clear.
Yep.
Like this young man wrote so many. This is the front of the mask. And then happy, funny, athletic, weird, loving, smart, outgoing. And then the back, I mean, when you give a young man the opportunity to write 3 words and they write 18 words, you know that they're bought in, right? Sad, PTSD, confused, scared, ADHD, depressed, might have bound chains. I mean, just like really like the words and how often do when the work you're doing with giving people that space of like, who am I? Who am I? Who could I be if I wasn't afraid? Who would I be if I wasn't worried about what people told me in the past? What would I go after if I didn't thought I couldn't fail? Like, what are the ways that we give young people a place to see bigger than their environment? I think yesterday, I remember once we were applying for this grant to take young people on college tours and things like that, and this one person on the panel, it was a live panel, was like, "Why do you need to take kids to go visit colleges? I mean, college education is not mandatory." Now, this obviously he didn't look like me. He didn't look like the kids I was serving, and I'm like, "Oh boy, how do I gently and kindly and caringly and lovingly respond to this question of like, because he doesn't get it. Like, he's already in his mind saying you're wasting money on taking kids to go visit colleges. And I have to now paint a picture for him that helps him see that sometimes if you can't see it, it will be almost impossible for you to ever to be it. And so now I'm like having to defend not only what we do in the organization, but I'm having to like teach, right? And I think those moments were one of those moments. It could be a question I would never forget. And it will be like every time I begin to write a grant application after that, I would try to explain it in clear detail that we're helping young people seats in place different than where they live. Because in order for some of them to ever take a willingness to take a step out of where they live, they have to know that I'm going to a place that's also safe. Because I feel safe in this environment, even though somebody don't even want to drive through here. This is where I feel safe. But to know that outside of here, there's also a place of safety is so critical to our young people. I think that's the work. And so, yeah, thank you very much for that.
Man, I thank you. And if I failed to mention the program, the nonprofit is called the Village Method. So like we need all the support, all the encouragement, because as you may know, spaces like this are what's going to really rebuild us. We have to control our narrative to the point to where it is beyond time that we take back control over who is influencing our mindset. I like to speak candidly, and I'm not bashing. I'm just speaking from my point of view and what I see for Black people. I can't speak for anybody else because I don't live in your life, so don't think I'm speaking on anything other than just what I see for Black people. The school system, the public school system, has failed us.
Yeah,
and it's up to us to acknowledge that, and that's all we have at this time until we create more spaces to where we work in unison with the school system.
Yeah,
until it's more of a understanding that we are being underserved, undereducated. And the reason that is because there's not enough of people who look like the demographic we're serving in places of position and power. And a lot of the parents don't understand how much power they have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, at this time, it's really important that what you do is being done because our children need to see, our scholars need to see themselves in different environments, in different lights. They need to go to a college campus seeing hundreds of thousands of Black people at this college campus going to go get a further education. And that man is absolutely right. It's not mandatory, but whatever you're striving to do in life, you're going to need some type of education for it, no matter what that may be. Yeah. LeBron James ain't the best basketball player just because he can play basketball. Steph Curry ain't the best basketball player just because he can play basketball. They have the understanding of the game to go with it, the knowledge to go with it to apply to both fields. So if you want to cut hair, there's knowledge you're going to have to get. If you want to take pictures, there's not. Whatever you desire to do, there's knowledge you're going to have to go get. And we need to use the resource of school is to teach us how to obtain knowledge better, not to remember useless facts. Okay, so how would I be able to apply exactly the principles that you're teaching me and the ways I have to go about getting this information to what I'm going to desire to want to do in the future? How do I see, like, I heard this once in think it was the minister who said it. He said, if I was to take a picture of this audience right now and show it to you, who's the first person you would look for? And he was like, more than likely yourself. And that's not vanity. And the reason some of our children, our black children, are so disconnected from the school system is because they don't see themselves in it.
Mm. 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 Okay. Well, let me just say, let me say first that um, you have no idea that my vision and my dream, maybe you have an idea that is to transform this system that is not serving us well. And it is my dream, and it is my hope. It is my purpose. I think deeper than starting this organization and deeper than these other things. So you and I are going to have another conversation that's we're going to jump into that, because I think what I've seen not only in districts all over the country, but even right here in the Bay Area, is a lot of well-intending people in power who are, uh, mm, mm, I gotta say these words carefully, who are, who could be doing more. Let's put it that way. Who could be doing more, and not more of the same old stuff that they've been doing. I'm talking about they need to be doing something new and different. The more is not the way it's always been done. It's we need to be doing something different to supplement, complement, to overtake what has been done, that is no longer, and for most of our young people, has never worked. And I'm not talking about for the 20% who are gonna get an education without the teacher showing up anyway. I'm not talking about those students. I'm talking about the ones who need an educator to support and help guide and be a beacon, right? So we're gonna do that soon. Soon.
Let me know.
Well, what I would like you to do, I want you to have the last word, and I would like you to tell folks how they can find you. Tell them, like, the website, how they can find your organization, the nonprofit, if those who want to contribute and support, donate, volunteer, whatever those ways. Let them know how they can find you. And we're going to put all this in the show notes, and I want to make sure that we close out and get you out on time.
So just to get it out there, the nonprofit is called The Village Method. You can find it at thevillagemethod.org. I am Antwone Diirt Da Dreamsaver Johnson. You can find me at Diirt, DIIRTDADREAMSAVER, Diirt Da Dreamsaver. I know it's lengthy. That's on all platforms. My brand is the Growing with Dirt brand. You can go www.growingwithdirt.com. Make sure you spell it with 2 I's. And my mission is to really help you figure out you. I call myself Diirt Da Dreamsaver because I had to save my own dreams first. But life has a way of robbing you of your dream. So many of us have probably got to the point that we don't even know what our dream is no more. We just know what we don't want. So whatever your dream may be, wherever you may be at in that, wherever you may be in that process, I know that the better I am, the better I can help you get there. Because I know if it's 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people, I know anybody who figure out what I figured out and are grateful and thankful, you wake up feeling every day so happy, so cool. You ain't gonna have no reason to argue with nobody. You ain't gonna have no reason to be frustrated. You ain't gonna have, well, I can't say that. You may have reasons to be frustrated because of your growth, but you ain't gonna have no bad day. You're gonna be grateful for all the moments of the day. You're gonna just have so much attitude of gratitude. And once the world and more people in the world develop that mindset and mentality and understanding that we are one, our unity is more powerful than the atomic bomb. We all the same. Like, we just come from different places, look from different things. Like, we all the same. Some of us are, for every yin, there's a yang. Just let me put it that way, right? So the ones of us who are the yins need to stick to the yins, and the ones of us who are the yangs, go ahead and just be true to who you are and find your tribe and rock with them, is what I'm trying to say in so many words. And understand that if you are on the side of righteousness, if you are on the side of humanity, then that's our side. I'm not here to create divide other than the people who are opposed to human rights, humanity, unity, and in righteousness. Like, I'm supposed to be against non-righteousness. I'm not supposed to rock with nobody who not about righteousness. Like, and I want other people to feel the same way. So that's all I'm about, man. I'm learning, I'm growing. I'm nowhere near where I desire to be. So I ain't got it all. So I love talking to people who can help me figure things out because I can learn something from anybody and anything. And that's the point I am in my life. Like, I call myself Dirt. I was given that nickname, and everybody in the world is a seed. So the better dirt you have, the better chance you got of growing.
Let's go. Let's go.
Thank you.
Brother Antwone, I want to appreciate you for being here, for being on this journey with us, taking off your mask with me in this conversation. Folks, Brother Antwone and I, we share our masks publicly. You don't have to do yours publicly. You can share yours anonymously at millionmask.org. And as you can tell, this conversation is being cut short just because of the time limit we set, but it is not over. And this is one of those connections in these journeys of conversations that we're just starting the process. And we're trying to help you see that it doesn't take any magical things to have a healthy, deep, meaningful conversation with someone. We're trying to give people tools to do that more. So we hope that you will make a mask and find somebody who you care about and invite them to have a conversation about it with you. That's what we hope. We wish you the best. Join the Million Mask movement. We'll see you soon. Brother Antwone, see you real soon, brother.
Thank you, good brother. Y'all have a blessed day.
The Taking Off the Mask podcast is produced by Ryan Louie and graphics by Kelly Wong. Guests are managed by Dan Paloma, and the podcast is edited by Samuel Matingo. We'd like to thank everyone who's been a part of the creation of this podcast, and for every guest that has been a part of the show, you are now a part of the Taking Off the Mask family. The Taking Off the Mask podcast is brought to you by the Ever Forward Club, and if you like what you've heard today, please subscribe, write a 5-star review, and share this with someone. We look forward to having more conversations that matter. And please remember, there's more to you than anybody can see by just looking at you.